Hello everybody, welcome to another video. Today we're taking a look at Layla, who was just released on the Childe and Miko rerun banners. Everyone's favorite sleepy student is finally here, and let's take a look at her talents, weapons, artifacts, constellations, and finally use her on a test run. But yeah, let's start with the talents. So she is a cryo sword user. Looks like her normal attack talent seems pretty standard. Multipliers, nothing too crazy there. Let's look at the skill. Puts forth a shield known as the Curtain of Slumber, dealing AoE cryo damage. The Curtain of Slumber's damage absorption is based on Layla's max HP and absorbs cryo damage with 250% effectiveness. When the shield is deployed, Layla will have cryo applied to her briefly. Wow, wait, what? Oh my goodness. Night stars and shooting stars. While the Curtain of Slumber is active, it will create one night star that will be attached to it every 1.5 seconds. When a character protected by the shield uses an elemental skill, 2 night stars will be created. Night stars can be created once every 0.3 seconds. In this way, a maximum of 4 night stars can be accumulated at any one time. Once the Curtain of Slumber has accumulated 4 night stars, there are opponents nearby, these night stars will transform into homing shooting stars that will be fired off in sequence, dealing cryo damage to any opponent's hit. If the Curtain of Slumber's duration ends or it is destroyed, the night stars will disappear. If they're already being fired off as shooting stars, these shooting stars will last until the wave of shot ends. Okay, that's nice. New night stars cannot be created until the previous wave of shooting stars has been fired completely. Skill damage. Wow, that's really low. Shooting star damage. Also really low, but I guess that there's 4 of them, but that still seems pretty bad. Base shield damage absorption is 17.3% of Layla's max HP plus a base of 1950. The shield lasts for 12 seconds and has a cooldown of 12 seconds. So as long as it's not getting destroyed immediately off the bat, you know, against some boss, this thing will last, should last most of the time, at least against groups of enemies, but we'll see. And then her burst is Dream of the Star Stream Shaker. Unleashes a celestial dream sphere that constantly fires starlight slugs at opponents within its AoE, dealing cryo damage. When starlight slug hits, it will generate a night star for nearby curtains of slumber. Each curtain of slumber can gain 1 night star this way every 0.5 seconds. And the starlight slug damage does 7.4% of Layla's max HP. Has a duration of 12 seconds and a cooldown of 12. It also has a really cheap energy cost, so that's nice. Let's take a look at her passive talents. So we have Lake Nascent Light. I hope I said that right. Well, while the Curtain of Slumber is active, the deep sleep effect will activate each time the curtain gains a night star. The shield strength of a character under the effect of the Curtains of Slumber will increase by 6%. This effect can have a maximum of 4 stacks, so 24%, and persists until the Curtain of Slumber disappears. Okay, and then we have Sweet Slumber Undisturbed. The damage dealt by the shooting stars fired by the Knights of the Primal Focus is increased by 1.5% of Layla's max HP. I think it's fair to say you're gonna want a lot of HP for Layla here, kind of similar to like Candace. And her last passive talent is Shadowy Dream Signs. When Layla crafts character talent material, she has a 10% chance to receive double the product. Let's look at the weapon they gave her. So they gave her a Favonius Sword. This gives a lot of energy recharge, and crit hits have a chance to generate even more energy particles. So I find this kind of weird, actually, that you would want this on Layla, because her burst only costs 40. That's not a lot. I suppose if you want it really consistent burst uptime, we'll see about that one. Artifacts, she has the Blizzard Strayer set, which is kind of interesting that they did that. Obviously, we can't get the 4-piece effect because Barbara's in this trial team, but I feel like Tenacity of the Millilith would probably be like 2-piece Tenacity, 2-piece Blizzard Strayer, perhaps. Or you could go 4-piece, you know, Tenacity of the Millilith, since that shield does AoE cryo damage, I believe, right? Yep. Alright, let's actually give Layla a test run. Alright. Kaeya. Let's get a bunch of effects on the field. So there's the shield. Oh, I see. The damage we're seeing from the burst and skill, obviously not that big. Not really big on the numbers there. Well, she seems pretty basic. Like, she's the cryo applicator and gives you a nice shield. But that's about it. I don't really see anything else to her, at least on initial reaction. Let's see her shield break application. Well, she seems to be, you know, pretty standard. There's nothing really to her. She applies a shield. She does some damage. I was looking at the numbers. They weren't obviously, you know, based off the talent overview we did. You know, we knew they weren't going to be, you know, hard hitting. I don't know what else there is. What more there could be to her, other than nice shield and cryo application. But we kind of already have a cryo shielder that has good cryo application, and that would be Diona. But I guess having more variety is nice. Oh, those are her normal attack animations. I didn't really see those. She smacks a star. That's actually funny. They always do a really good job on the animations on a lot of characters. It's too bad a lot of characters just, you know, you're not going to be using their normal attack talent or just normal attacks in general. Just do their skill and burst. Let's take a look at the constellations. So C1 is Fortress of Fantasy. The shield absorption of her skill is increased by 20%. It's really good. Additionally, when unleashing Knights of the Formal Focus, she will generate a shield for any nearby party member who are not being protected by a current of slumber. The shield will have a 35% of the absorption of the current of slumber and will last for 12 seconds. Will absorb cryo damage with 250% effectiveness. So this makes her, you know, a nice teammate to have in co-op, I suppose. C2. When shooting stars from Knights of Formal Focus strike opponents, they will each restore 1 energy to Layla. Each shooting star can restore energy to her in this manner once. So on like a really good rotation, probably 8 energy, which again makes me question why they would give her a Favonius Sword, because if you get a C2 Layla, and you know, this isn't like too crazy of a concept, right? You'll have 8 energy, or about maybe like 48 energy depending on your rotation. C3 and 5 are going to be skill and burst respectively, of course, so we already know that. I suppose that'll just make her shields, well, shieldier. But let's look at the attributes again. So yeah, it'll increase the damage somewhat, but this is going to be very not noticeable. And then more shield base as well as absorption. And then if we look at the burst, so it's going to increase her damage on that a bit. Let's look at C4. When Knights of Formal Focus starts to fire off shooting stars, it will grant all nearby party members the Dawn Star effect, causing their normal and charge attack damage to increase based on 5% of Layla's max HP. Dawn Star can last up to 3 seconds and will be removed 0.05 seconds after dealing normal or charge attack damage. So you get like a slight boost to whoever you're using your Layla with, I suppose. So this constellation, after like actually doing some math here, so if you have a 40,000 HP Layla and they get an increase based off 5% of her HP, that is quite a big boost, but it's only for 1 attack. So like a character like Yoimiya or Ayato who's spamming normal attacks left and right, you'll just see like one number be like higher than normal, and then it's just gonna go back to normal. But is this for each star that shoots, or is it like each cycle? Like if it's when the shooting stars, when each one fires and you get the buff, this is gonna be pretty good. But if it's only for each cycle, then this is like, okay, you'll get like 1 spike in damage. But C4 is probably her most interesting constellation so far and has the highest potential of making her a more interesting support character. Next up, we have C6. Shooting stars from the skill deal 40% increased damage straight up. And Starlight Slugs from the burst also deal 40% increased damage. Additionally, the interval between the creation of Night Stars via Knights of the Formal Focus is decreased. Wow. Gonna help those numbers a bit and help her get more Night Stars, which is really good. Yeah, it's a pretty good C6. It even though the damage numbers aren't gonna be that much crazier, it will look a little bit better, and the interval between Night Stars is actually pretty nice to have. That means you'll be getting your C4 buff even more often. So she does have some synergy with her constellations there. I just think C1 is completely, well, if you're a single player or you don't play co-op often, this is not going to be useful. Her cryo application seems really good though, so if you're trying to do some melt teams or freeze teams, she seems pretty solid for that. Unfortunately, she does not work with Dendro. Cryo does not work with Dendro in any way, shape or form, so there is no synergy with her and Nahida. I suppose you could still use them just because she's a shielder, but there won't be any elemental reactions coming off of that. It was also a missed opportunity for her to be a cryo catalyst character, our first cryo catalyst, but unfortunately she is another sword user. I feel like her best weapon is actually going to be Nila's weapon. That Key of the Kajnizut is actually going to give her a lot of HP and damage to her team because it'll increase her elemental mastery. So you're going to want to use her in like a melt comp if you're going to go that route. Otherwise, if it's freeze, then you're wasting the elemental mastery, of course. But that's also a pretty good option for her. An expensive one, I'll admit, but a good one. But yeah, I think Layla is just okay. I don't think she's awful or gonna be like a wasted pull, but she's also like pretty straightforward. The C4 buff though is probably the most interesting thing to me, but we'll have to see how it plays out. And for me, it's not like I'm gonna have a C4 Layla anytime soon. I just don't have Primo Gems after wasting it all on Nahida and her weapon, so I'm in saving mode right now. I'll try to get a Layla off the current banner, but But what do you guys think about Layla? Do you guys like the character? Are you guys going to build her and use her in your teams? If so, what kind of teams are you gonna run her in? I'm very curious. But that's gonna wrap it up for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.